pharmaceutical pharmaceutical legislation in India. Okay, so this is the first topic to study in pharmaceutical jurisprudence. So let's start with purpose of pharmaceutical legislation. So as you know, pharmaceutical legislation is very important to regulate and to supervise all the rules and regulation related to drug and medicine, and we have to ensure the patient safety, right? So you can see here, to ensure the patient receive the drugs of required quality, tested and evaluated for safety and efficacy for their intended result. So that is why pharmaceutical legislation is there. That is the main committee under pharmaceutical legislation. There are many committees like drug technical advisory board, drug consultative committee, all other committees are there, like pharmaceutical council of pharmacy council of India. So their main purpose is that to ensure the patient safety. Okay, so that's why that is the main purpose of pharmaceutical legislation. After that, followed by that is what is the history behind the pharmaceutical units, how it got started, who was the first founder for the chemist shop, right? So you can see here, first year in 1811, name of founder is Mr. Badgate. He came from the East India Company and he opened chemist shop in Calcutta, right? And the manufacturing of medicine started from 1910. So that is the first time Mr. Badgate coming from the East India Company and he started chemist shop, right? Then in 1821, next Mr. Smith Street and Company, they have opened apothecary shop. Apothecary shop means the shop in which the medicines in which the medicine has been compounded and dispensed. Okay, so related to Smith and Street Company, they have started manufacturing. You can see here, commencing from 1918. After, followed by Main Street in 1901, Acharya Praful Chandra Roy from Calcutta, they have started the pharmaceutical company, Bengal Chemicals and Pharmaceutical Works. That is before that we have seen the chemist shop and apothecary shop were there, so that was not the pharmaceutical company. But in 1901, Praful Rai Chandra Rai has started the Bengal Chemicals and Pharmaceutical Works, that is a manufacturing company. And then 1903, Professor T.K. Gajjar started a factory at Parel and Alembic Chemical Works, Baroda. So after that, followed by that, many companies, pharmaceutical companies were growing. And so this is the basic history how the legislation has started, because this all pharma products are dealing with the patients, dealing with the public, so we should have legislation to control over all the medicine, right? Then now we will see how the reason formation of Chopra committee. This is the basic this is the first one, Chopra committee, who has founded who has insist government for the rules and regulation. So first, units were not sufficient to fulfill the requirement of Indian public. Then drugs were imported from UK, Germany and France. Drugs, as you know, import means medicine should bring to India. So some medicines are not in available in India, so it is importing from other countries, UK, Germany and France. So during First World War, cheaper drugs were imported into India, which increased the demand for indigenous drugs. So what happened in First World War? They have ordered the cheaper drugs, and what after that what happened, there is no rules and regulation over that, and anybody is going to buy and sell that drug. So there were unhealthy competition grew up, and Indian market was flooded with inferior quality of drugs. So inferior quality of drugs. So as you know, drugs are dealing with the patient, so it should be superior quality, and the proper structure should be there. Then public pressurized government to introduce effective legislation to control import, manufacturing and distribution and sale of drugs. So what public has done, they have insisted government to please regulate for the all these provisions of the act: import, manufacturing, sale and distribution. Then there was no legal and effective control on pharmacy profession. At that time, at that year, there were no regulation over the pharmacy profession. Hence, to have a comprehensive legislation, the Indian government appointed a drug inquiry committee, that is DEC. That is the first ever committee had started under the pharmaceutical legislation, and this committee under the chairmanship of Colonel R.N. Chopra in 1931. This was formally known as Chopra Committee. This committee is known as Chopra Committee. Then what were the recommendation of committee? You can see the first recommendation, that is formation of Central Pharmacy Council and State Pharmacy Council. These are the two main recommendation from Chopra Committee. First you have to form the Central Pharmacy Council and State Pharmacy Council of India. Then creation of drug control machinery. Second was creation of drug control machinery. That is also very important, uh, because for medicine purpose we need the machineries. So recommendation of Chopra Committee comes one point, that is creation of drug control machinery. And the next is establishment of well equipped central drug laboratory and state drug laboratory. So as you know, for testing, for analysis purpose, for examination, we need central drug laboratories as well as state drug laboratories. So there was that, this was the recommendation to government to adapt this drug laboratory for the testing purpose. Then next, implementation, how it got implemented. So as you know, first world war is 1915 to 1999. Then second world war started in 1939 to 1944. So due to second world war in 1939, there was delay in introduction of the legislation. So what happens when Chopra Committee recommended in 1938 and 1939, near around that period, and so due to second world war in 1939, so this legislation got delayed. It should not be delayed, but it got delayed. So government was reluctant to implement the recommendation of DEC, that is Drug Inquiry Committee, and the public was pressurized the government. And so what happened, whatever recommendation we have given to government to control all the medicine import manufacturing, but government was dealing that recommendation. So public again pressurized the government. Then finally government has agreed and import of drug bill was introduced in 1937. So this is a very important point. You can see here, import of drug bill was introduced in 1937. So drug bill means what? The drug bill means whatever public demanded to government for recommendation purpose, then all those things comes under the drug bill. This bill deal with only import of drugs and manufacturing, and sale of drug was not included. So this drug bill was included import and manufacturing, not related to sale. For sale, slowly it comes into existence. Okay. Now we will see what is the scope and objective. What was the scope for the drug bill? Now drug bill already introduced. So you can see here, drug bill was introduced in 1940 in legislative assembly, and drug bill 1940 was passed, which came to force in 1947. Since then, Drug Act was amended many times. At present, it covers the provision related to drug, cosmetic, Ayurvedic, including Unani and homeopathic medicine. So it covers all related to cosmetic, Ayurvedic, including Unani, homeopathic medicine. Okay. And so next, the after drug bill, once drug bill has passed, the DNC Act came into existence. The present DNC Act is improved version of the Drug Act 1940. So whatever drug bill has passed, so nowadays that law, the drug bill is called as DNC Act 1940. So the main objective of DNC Act was to regulate the import, manufacturing, distribution and sale of drug and cosmetics in India. So this is the main objective of the DNC Act. Now you can see here, central government made several rules entitled the DNC Rules 1945. These act and rules were amended from time to time. So amended from time to time means if any law, if any rule is changing, then there were amendment coming, right? Because this is the rules and regulation. So if anyone is breaking law, then amendment should be there. What will be the offenses? What are the penalties for that particular person? So central government is periodically it is amended the DNC Act rules 1945. The next, like we have started with the history of pharmaceutical legislation. So first drug bill, then DNC Act 1940, then after that Pharmacy Act 1948 came over. So Pharmacy Act 1948, it is the main object to regulate the profession of pharmacy in India. That is very important. Like you are studying B pharmacy, M pharmacy, or Pharm D. So for regulation of education, what the deciding the course curriculum, all those things comes under that, like B Pharm, what is the structure of B Pharm course, what is the structure of M Pharm course, which are the specialization. So all those things are regulated by the Pharmacy Act 1948. In Pharmacy Act 1948, there were different committees and different directors are there who will regulate all those profession of pharmacy. After related to education, it got comes under the Pharmacy Act. Now there were many act to control so many things. In 1954, next is 1954, the Drug and Magic Remedies Act was passed. So main objective of this act is what? To prohibited the certain type of advertisement related to magic remedies. What is the main thing? Because nowadays you have seen the many people are selling drugs, whatever drugs, like Ayurvedic drugs, kadha, all those things they are selling. But it is, or they used to call mantra and jadoo, like, so that is banned by the government. So in 1954, the Drug and Magic Remedies Act was passed with the main control to for advertisement related to the magic remedies. Then there is a medical and toilet preparation, that is related to the we are using whatever we are using at our home for floor cleaning. So alcohol, opium, Indian hemp, narcotic drugs. So all these drugs having the what we can say excess duties are there. So for that control also, the Medicine and Toilet Preparation Act 1955 was passed. Then central government implemented Drug Price Control Order 1987. So as you know, there were different types of medicine: generic drug, branded drug. Then for that, the price is different from generic and branded also. So for price, what we can say, for giving the price to that particular medicine, it is under the control of Drug Price Control Order 1987. Okay, so that is related to pricing and all. Then next is 1985, the Narcotic and Psychotropic Substance Act was passed. The main objective of narcotic and psychotropic substance was, the objective of this act was to consolidate and amend the laws relating to narcotic drugs and psychotropic substance. Because nowadays, you know, nowadays there is a misuse of narcotics. So there is a law which control all over related to the narcotics. These are the others, other regulation and other act which will control many things. So first, Prevention of Food Adulteration Act 1954 and its rule. Then Industries Development and Regulation Act 1951. Then Industrial Employment, that is Standing Order Act 1946 and rules. Then Industrial Dispute Act 1947. Industrial Dispute Act, it is related to industry. If anything happens in pharmaceutical industry, then it will come to the that will be handled by Industrial Dispute Act 1947. Then Factory Act 1948. Then Indian Patent and Design Act 1970. So these all acts are there. Epidemic Disease Act 1987. Okay, so these are the act which will control all over the pharmacy profession, related to factory, related to pharmaceutical companies, related to shop, related to licenses, related to industries development. Again, it also contain the prevention of food adulteration. Okay, so everything comes under the pharmaceutical legislation. So remember that pharmaceutical legislation is very very important, because it is the main objective of the legislation is to ensure the patient safety, right? So yes, so this is all about the pharmacy, this is all about the pharmaceutical legislation, right? We have seen the scope and objective, then recommendation of drug inquiry committee. So main is, that is pharmaceutical legislation in India. And nowadays there are many amendments, and in which it is changing many laws and rules and regulation for the various kind of drugs. So this is very very important. Thank you very much.